saw the email, I'm sure you did. That's how you're here. But if you have a bolster or pillow, that could come in handy tonight, as well as any essential oils if you'd like. For our closing bit of practice, sometimes it's just nice and calming, but that's totally optional. Hi, Emily, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Oh, great. All right. I think I have everyone here. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome. My name's Emily. I know it comes up as Amanda, but my name's Emily. And we're gonna just have a nice gentle flow this evening, kind of ending one week, starting the next. And we do stream to our Facebook page. No one's screen is included in that stream, just to let you know. And I'll give you a heads up when I stop the stream if you want to unmute, at the end or anything like that. So if you'd like to share your video, you're welcome to do so. That won't show up on the stream, but I do ask that everyone just stays muted so that the audio is good quality. I'll get that stream started here, but while we do that, just come to a comfortable seated position or option to be laying down on your back, whatever works, whatever feels good in your body this evening. Only ask or requirement here is that you come to a position that allows you to breathe deeply. We'll be here for a few minutes, just welcoming our body into this space, welcoming our mind into this space. It's hard to be fully present, even in the time that we set aside for ourselves. So we take these first few moments here just to really ground down. Tuning out any distractions, including any clicks you might hear on my end. Just make your breath the loudest thing you can hear, in and out. Start to breathe a little deeper, making your exhale a little bit longer than your inhale. Your breath can be however you'd like here. Although it does feel really good in my body personally to let an open mouth exhale exit through the body and take with it anything in your day, in your week that you'd like to let go, not take with you into your next day, into your next week. We'll take 5 more breaths right here. Nice and deep, nice and slow. Close down your eyes if you haven't already, bringing these last few breaths into the body. Allow yourself to be here in this space, knowing that you are doing the best that you possibly can in this moment. So get rid of any other thoughts that you need to be doing something else. You are right here where you're meant to be. One more breath all together. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. Now, keeping your eyes closed, we're going to invite the breath into our spine. We're going to take a few rounds of spinal breath, which means to inhale, fill up the low belly like you have a donut or a pool ring around your low belly. And then exhale, send that breath up and out the crown of your head. So instead of an inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fall back down, it's the opposite here. Inhale, expand outwards. Exhale, expand upwards. So this spinal breath is a full expansion, out and up throughout the body. Speed is entirely up to you, whatever feels comfortable. We'll be here for 10 rounds of our spinal breath. If something doesn't work about this breath pattern for you, let it go. Do something that feels good. If that means inhale and just staying still in your center position instead of expanding outwards, then maybe you just exhale, expand upwards. And then on your next inhale, you try to keep the head exactly where it is. Let the shoulders fall back and down as you inhale. And then exhale, find 1 more inch of length. You're doing great. Keep going. Even when it gets a little bit mundane, keep going. This is the work that we practice here on this mat, in your space, as well as off the mat. When things get hard, we dig deep, we dig in, and we keep going instead of running away. A couple more breath cycles here. After your last breath, let everything go. Roll the shoulders back and down 1 more time. Find length through the front of the neck, through the back, lifting the back of your head like you had a gentle bit of traction on the spine. Holding there. Eyes stay closed, hands come to heart center. We open our practice with 1 Om, but you have options here. So at the core, Om is really just a vibration of the universe that we get to channel through ourselves. It's really a gift, but a lot of us worry about the sound of our own voice and what the sound is going to kind of translate outside the body. So if that's you tonight, your option is to dig into the uncomfortable feeling and just go for it. Or if that's really not serving you right here, let out a breath Om, which is simply just an audible exhale. Enough times of that, and you'll be working your way towards Om. It's really no big deal. Your choice, either an audible Om or a breath exhale Om. We take one clearing breath before. Inhale. Exhale all your air, let it go. New vessel, accepting this Om, this vibration. Inhale. Exhale. And flutter your eyes open. Sunday, we're going to create something special together. Go ahead and rock backwards so that you can bring your knees out in front of you, and just go ahead and windshield wiper them side to side if you are sitting on your sit bones. If you are laying down on your back, gently at your own pace, start to come up. We're going to begin in a seated position tonight. From your seated position, rolling your knees side to side, we're going to stop in stillness in the center. Bring the soles of the feet to touch. Bring the knees out wide. We're going to come into a butterfly pose to begin. Hands can cup right around your toes, gently lengthening the spine like that flat back we often do in a vinyasa flow. Inhale, lengthen that spine. Now exhale, hinge only from the hips, flat back down until you find your edge, and most likely the hips are going to find the edge first before the back. Once you find that edge, inhale and exhale, start to round the upper back. So this stretch right here is simultaneously a stretch through the inner thighs and the hips, as well as it is a stretch through the upper and mid back. Let it feel good. If one half is talking to you way louder than the other, you can adjust, you can change something. Maybe you're feeling too much of an upper back versus hips. Then just come back a little bit. Maybe send your feet out a little bit further if the hips are talking too much. Find your comfortable pose here, and we'll hold for 5 breath cycles. Our flow this evening is focusing on opening up through the hips. So we begin with this pose because we have so much control over how deep we want this stretch to be. So let yourself be in control. If it's too much, you come back. No one else is going to do it for you. All you. Last few breaths here. After your last exhale, come on up. I'm just going to back up a touch here. We're going to extend one leg out long, and then the opposite heel just comes in right into the hip crease. As you do that, start to shift your weight over so that your torso, as best you can, is facing your flexed foot. Inhale, arms come up high, and exhale, start to send your body over that leg. Now, once you find your edge, bend your knee. Trust me on this one. Bend your knee so that your forehead can touch the knee. That's our primary point right here. We're stretching primarily into the side of our back here, as well as the upper back. So if you feel all hamstring, bend your knee a little more. And conversely, if you think once that connection is made that you can go a little deeper, let that foot inch out just a little bit. Again, holding at our lowest point, bringing the breath into this motion, or this pose, I should say. We're here for 3 more breaths. After your last breath, gently start to walk yourself back up. And very slowly, we're going to transition, placing your opposite hand in front of your bent knee or somewhere in between there, opposite hand behind. Shift your weight up on your knee and your foot to find a dancer's pose here, or a dancer's stretch. So it's a simple transition just from one side to the other and lift. Option to stay here or to find a little bit of flow. You can go over to one side and then back and up. Bringing that breath right into this movement. Beginning to warm up the spine with a twist. One more breath cycle here. And then hold in your dancer's stretch. Inhale and exhale, let it go, lowering back down. Simply, we're going to switch to the other side. So just bring your opposite leg out, and then the other one comes in. Find that connection of the hip crease to the bottom of your other foot. Take a little shift of your hips so that you're facing your extended leg. Flex that foot. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, bend over. Again, forehead comes to touch the knee. Find that connection. Find that edge and hold. We're here for a little while, so maybe you start to inch out that foot only if that forehead and knee can stay connected. Stretching out the opposite side where your low back attaches to your hips. Let that feel so good. Take 3 more breaths here. Actively letting this stretch counteract all the sitting that we do in our day. Even all the standing still. Time in this pose will help us release whatever we need to. After your last exhale, start to walk yourself up. You know where you're going. Dancer's stretch on the other side. So place your hands on either side of your knee. Press yourself up. Opposite arm goes overhead. You can stay here and hold, stretching out that hip flexor, or you can stretch and reverse in between those two postures. Over to one side and up to your dancer's stretch. Make this as static or as fluid as you need to. Let it feel really good. Take one more breath cycle. And then holding at the top. One breath. And let it go. Legs come out long in front. Just a standard seated forward fold right here. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, let yourself fall over. Find your lowest point. Maybe you grab a hold of your toes. Maybe somewhere along your legs. Whatever works for you. Find that flat back position with your inhale. And then exhale, fold over, chin tucks around the head. We're here for 5 full breaths. I'm going to join you right here. after your last breath, gently start to walk yourself all the way back up. Shift your weight over to one side. Just swing your legs around, and we're going to come into a tabletop position. So in your tabletop, your knees are right underneath of your hips. Your wrists are right underneath of your shoulders. Take a couple sways side to side. Maybe wiggle out through the hips. Maybe roll through the wrists if that feels good. Whatever you need to make this tabletop the most relaxing and successful it can be. All right, coming to stillness in the center, tuck the toes. Just press yourself back onto your heels, stretching out through the back of the feet. We do this so that once we get into our high lunge and our low lunge, our feet don't talk to us first. So I love doing this nice and easy stretch in hero pose, just to let the feet open and release, so that we can focus on the bend through the knees rather than what their feet's limitations might be. Last breath. And then walk it back out. You can keep your toes tucked if you would like a little bit of stability, or you can untuck them and let them go long on your mat. Now we're going to choose one side to start. You can come with me. I'm going to start with my right side, or just go whichever side feels good to you. Inhale, right leg extends back. Hold here, flex the foot. We're going to take a couple rounds through this core strengthening series, going from a closed hip position to open. So follow me here. Inhale, lengthen long in the spine. Exhale, start to walk your hips over, stack one on top of the other. Option for arm to come up, balance here. Exhale, come back down, hopefully gracefully. And then inhale, lengthen. Exhale, back up. We're going to align our breath with this movement. Inhale at your longest point. Exhale, back. So we take one inhale in this pose, one exhale to transition. Use that exhale to power through the core. Inhale, and exhale back down. One more. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, transition, pulling through that core. Find your stability. Inhale and exhale. Nice. Now come back down. Right leg is still lifted. Option to bring your left arm out and then click your heel out. Click the arm out. Find a half of an X. This is really challenging, burning through the core right away, turning it on to protect the low back. So tuck those hips down. We hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Bring your knees as wide as your mat, your toes to touch. Press your hips back. Child's pose. Take what you need here. If child's pose is too much on the low back right away, come into a tabletop and just begin some cat-cows. Those who are in child's pose, you'll be there for a couple of breaths. So if you need a few cat-cows, and then you are welcome to join us in child's pose whenever you're ready. If you're in child's pose, we're here for 2 more full breath cycles. Inhale, start to walk yourself back up. And then exhale, place your hip or your knees under your hips, wrists underneath of shoulders. We're on to side 2. So take notice of whichever side you were just on, and we'll do the opposite one here. Inhale, left leg extends long, flex that foot. And then we're going to start that same flow. I'm just going to turn so that I can face you here. Left leg is still long, breathing deeply here. You're going to inhale, lengthen through the spine, and then exhale, shift the hips, open. Top arm comes up, nice little core and oblique work here. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn back around. Left leg is still lifted. Inhale. And exhale, use the core to pull yourself over. Nice and stable. Inhale. Exhale, back over. 2 more sets on your own pace. If you start to shake, you're doing the right thing. You're staying with it. Keep going. You've got this. After your last round, come to that same position you started in. Left leg extending back. Option for right arm to come forward. Click the left heel out, right arm out. Hold in this half of an X. 5, 4. Core pulls in, zip up that sweatshirt. There you go. Last 2. 1. Knees come wide. Child's pose one more time. Take 2 more breaths here in your child's pose. After your last exhale, you're going to press yourself up to that tabletop position and then just flip yourself around. We're either going to come into a restorative bridge with a pillow or bolster, or you can just come into a few bridge lifts. Often, I should say, we've just crunched down our hip flexors a little bit, so we're going to take a bit of a different approach to lengthening them out before we begin our flow. I'll show you what you can do with the pillow. You're just going to come seated or with your tailbone right on top of that pillow. I like to do kind of my tailbone into my low back because this is kind of a large pillow. Just walk yourself back. Hips are lifted. Torso is angled down towards the mat. Feet are firmly planted into the earth. If you don't have a pillow, your option is to do this either with motion, lifting your hips and lowering them back down, or just lift and hold. If you want to go super luxurious, you can add a pillow behind the neck. This is just to help reset the hips, kind of let them ground down. We take 1 more breath here. And exhale. Now option to hold at your highest point, beginning to stretch your hip flexors, or if you have a pillow or something underneath of your hips, just lengthen your legs long and feel that stretch on the top of the hip flexors. Nice job. Just hold here, melt into the props. If you have no props here, you're stretching to your highest point. Maybe the backs of your ribs are leaving the earth just to really stretch the hip flexors. Come down whenever you need to and then come on back up. We're here for 3 more breaths. Last breath. And exhale, let it go. Now gently we're going to come out of this. If you have no props, just lower yourself down. Windshield wiper your legs. If you're with me, start to bend your knees. Soles of the feet touch the earth. I'm going to get rid of my extra pillow here. Start to lift your hips up and remove the pillow from underneath, or if it's a little too big, you can just roll over to one side and roll off of the pillow. We're coming back into an all fours position once more, beginning a flow series from a kneeling position. Now from your tabletop, we're going to do that same flow with our leg. Inhale, right leg extends back. Exhale, bring knee to nose. Inhale, right leg extends back. Exhale, knee to right elbow. Last one, inhale, extend back. Exhale, knee to left elbow. Inhale, extend back, and then exhale, bring it through your hands, place it in between. We're in a low lunge. Come to finger pads, and then rise up. Front knee is bent. We aim for about 90 degrees, but if it's a little more shallow, that means you can press into your opposite leg, stretching that hip flexor. Holding here to breathe, stretching out that hip flexor. One more breath. One more exhale, rock your hips back, stretch out that opposite hamstring, let toes peel up to the ceiling. Nice job, one more breath. And exhale, let it go. Frame your front foot with your hands. Inhale, pull the belly in, start to lift that leg off or that foot off the mat. Pull it back. And exhale, let it go. Now I'm going to take a quarter turn here. We've just stretched out the front and the back of our leg, but we're going to stretch out the inner and outer thighs. So you're going to inhale, bring your leg back. Exhale, bring it over to the side. Now it should be right in line with your knee that's on the earth. So this might be a lot right away. This could be your stretch. That's totally fine. If you'd like to make it a little bit more spicy, you can start to walk this outer foot out, primarily finding a stretch in the lengthened leg on the inner thigh. So you should feel it right here. If you're starting to feel it on this side more, then you want to shift your weight over a little bit and then start to bring yourself down on that side so you can really target that stretch in the opposite side. Be careful of that knee if you're placing too much pressure on the joint. It's going to talk to you. We hold here for 2 more breath cycles. And the last breath, last exhale, gently walk your leg back in, and we're going to transition to a half pigeon here. So this opposite knee is still on the earth, front leg bends, so that foot is coming off to the side, and we're gonna press ourselves down, knee and foot are in alignment. You can scoot back that back foot if you'd like. Finding a glute stretch, perhaps an outer thigh stretch. Hold here and breathe. Let it feel so good. Take what you need. If you need to start walking your torso down, feel free to do that. If you're feeling turbo this evening, like you've got a lot to give, a lot to share, well, we all have a lot to give. But if your body is feeling really warmed up, option to bend that back knee and start to reach back. Maybe you find that back leg, finding a quad stretch as well as an outer glute stretch. Only if you're ready though, because it involves a bit of balance. Take 2 more breaths. And then let it go. Start to walk yourself back up. Just shift your weight back. Bring that knee in front back to tabletop and just shake it out. We're going to find that same series on the other side. So inhale, lengthen your left leg back behind you. Exhale, bring it knee to nose. Inhale, extend backwards. Exhale, knee to left elbow. Inhale, extend back. Exhale, knee to right elbow, hold. Inhale, extend back. And exhale, bring that leg through. Plant the foot on the earth. Come to finger pads and rise. Low lunge, other side. Shift your weight into that front knee, lengthening the opposite hip flexor. But this side might be totally different than your first side. Acknowledge what feels good on this side and what doesn't. Take those cues. That is the yoga. That is what we learn through this practice. And our practice every day is simply to listen to the body and to know how to communicate with it. What a gift. What a skill to practice our whole lives. One more breath. Exhale, start to rock your hips back. Flex that front foot. Come back for a hamstring stretch. One more breath. And one more exhale. Walk that foot back until you're in a knee, all fours position again. Inhale, left leg extends back. Exhale, sweep it to the side or coming into that side inner thigh stretch. Inhale and exhale, maybe start to walk that leg out a little bit. Right away, I can tell both sides for me are different, so I'm going to honor that and stay a little higher on this side. Again, watch out for that knee if it's talking to you. Listen, or else it'll talk to you louder tomorrow. We don't want that. Hold here and breathe. You've got this. You are exactly where you need to be. One more breath. And one more exhale. Start to walk that knee in. We're going to come into a half pigeon or full pigeon on this side. So walk that left foot over to your right hand. Start to shift your weight forward. Left knee comes down, right foot extends back. Hold in this tall pigeon or start to walk your torso down. Hold here and breathe. Doesn't have to look pretty. Doesn't have to feel amazing. Not everything does. But know that this is the work that matters right here. Take one more breath. And a big exhale. Start to walk yourself back up. Placing your weight in your hands and your grounded knee. Come back into tabletop. Take a couple wiggles side to side, whatever feels good. And then we're going to start to move big. We are ready. We are warmed up for sure. Now, in your tabletop, take a quarter turn if you need to, so that your hips are facing the short edge of your mat. We're going to come up into our first downward dog. So tuck your back toes. Press into your hands. Send your hips high to the sky. Gaze at your toes. Make sure they're about 6 inches apart. And if you think you might be a little narrow or at least want to check your stance for your down dog, shift your weight forward into a high plank and then shift back. If your elbows are way in front of your wrists or your shoulders are way in front of your wrists, your stance is a little too short. Just wiggle the toes back. Let this be powerful. Let this be strong. One more breath. And exhale. Inhale. Start to walk your feet to meet your hands. Come up for a halfway lift. Spine extends long. Exhale. Let it go. Inhale. Sweep and rise all the way back up. Hands overhead. And exhale. Pull them down to heart center. Close down the eyes. Stay here and breathe. One more breath. And one more exhale. Inhale. Arms sweep all the way up overhead, maybe at a back bend. Exhale. Take a generous fold forward. Inhale. Come to halfway lift. Exhale. Plant the hands. No vinyasa here. We're going to take a gentler approach. If you'd like to do a vinyasa, though, you're welcome to. Instead, step one foot back. So for me, it's my right foot. I'm going to come to finger pads and rise into a high lunge. Right away, I'm going to shift my hips open to find a warrior two. So that front foot is facing parallel to the long edge of your mat. Your heel is tracking into the arch of the back foot in one long line. We're bending through that front knee. Arms come out, reminding that torso to stay shifted to the side as our gaze shifts to the front. Gazing over that front middle finger. We inhale, shift the weight forward. Exhale, reverse angle. Inhale, extended side angle. Exhale, reverse angle. Just building on those stretches we began in the first few moments of our practice. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. Inhale. Extend and hold long. Exhale here. One more inhale. And exhale. Straighten the front knee. We're going to come into a triangle pose, just really adding that stretch through the inner thigh that we've already warmed up, so don't worry. Inhale, shift forward with the torso. Exhale, tip yourself down. In between two panes of glass with the torso, make sure it's not coming forward, or dare I say backwards, you'd probably fall over. Between two panes of glass, nice and steady. Holding at your lowest point, but adding that lift through the side oblique, not crunching down and collapsing. There you go. I can't see you, but I know it's looking beautiful. Last 3, 2, and 1. Using your core, lift yourself back up. Gaze shifts to that front hand. Add that bend in the knee, and then cartwheel your hands down. Just bring that left foot back to meet the right in a high plank, and then shift your hips up for a downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg rises high to the sky. Exhale, send it through in between the hands. Come to finger pads and then rise for your high lunge on the other side. Right away, you're going to shift again into our warrior two. I'm just going to shift the other way so that we can still face each other. Making sure that the opposite foot that you just worked, if you can call it that, is in front. The opposite side, I should say. in your warrior two. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, reverse your angle. Inhale, extended side angle. Exhale, reverse angle. Continue this flow. Again, it might feel different on this side. That's okay. Maybe your gaze shifts to track where your hands are. Take 2 more rounds. And then hold in your reverse angle. We hold at the top on an inhale, but then do let your exhale come out. And take 1 more inhale. Inhale. And exhale, straighten that front knee. Gaze is still shifted to the front hand. Inhale, shift forward with the torso. And then exhale, gaze shifts over to me or to the screen. We're coming into our triangle pose. So again, on this side, torso is between 2 panes of glass. If you have a mirror, it's probably very helpful. But if you don't, use those cues within the body. Shifting that torso over, keeping that oblique nice and strong. Finding your lowest point. We're here for 3, for 2, and for 1. Lift yourself back up, bend that front knee in your warrior 2, and then cartwheel your hands down. Use your core to lift your leg up, meet the back foot, and come into a downward facing dog. Now we'll be in this down dog for 3 breaths. Take what you need. If you need to come down to your knees at any point to let it go, you are welcome to. But know that the hard work is over. We are calming down for the end of our practice here. Take 1 more breath. And then send the knees wide, toes come to touch, press yourself back into your final child's pose. Let this truly be a posture of rest here. Let everything go. Chest falls towards the mat. Breath starts to calm, starts to slow. Take notice of your heartbeat. Take notice of your breath. Take 1 more breath in this child's pose. And then exhale, let it go. Start to walk yourself up onto your hands and knees. And then cross your legs in front of you. We're going to gently come down onto our backs. But as you do that, your legs are crossed. You're kind of shifting into a boat pose for a second, just grabbing hold of the opposite outsides of the feet. Doesn't matter which foot is in front. And then roll yourself back. Right away, you're in a reclined cow face pose. This should feel really good, just helping to close down the hips. Gently pulling them down, using the feet as leverage. Take 1 more breath. Exhale, helicopter your feet and just switch sides. Pulling the opposite foot back and down. One more breath. And exhale, let go of your feet, let them come up in front of your knees. Grab hold of the outsides of the feet or behind the legs. We're coming into a happy baby. So rock your feet side to side if that feels good, or stay in stillness in the center. Our inversion for this evening. Letting that blood flow in the opposite direction from the toes all the way back down into the legs. We can never really be here long enough for the amount of time we spend on our feet, but even one moment throughout the day is beautiful, is a great choice. One more breath. Exhale, begin to release your feet, and we're gently coming into our final resting pose. If you have some essential oils with you, go ahead and grab them, bring them down with you, or into your seated position if you'd like to take a rest in a seated position tonight. If you have oils with you, just place one drop in each palm, rub them together, create a little bit of heat, and then gently cup the nose or dab on the neck if that feels good. Inviting that aroma into your space. Once you find yourself settled into your Shavasana, your resting pose, let every exhale be a full release of something that you don't need. Be the change right here. Be the catalyst for the change that you want in this next week. Even if it's something you can't control, we can control how we react, how we perceive, how we change our actions, how we adapt, how we grow, how we shift, everything. We have so much more control than we sometimes realize. And then there's that element of trust, right? Trust in the journey, trust in the process. Trust that others can help us, that they've got our back. Whatever it is that you wish for this next week, invite that in on your inhale and exhale out something that you don't need. Continue this as many times as you need. Find something new every time. There's always something else. And that's beautiful. That means we're growing. Take one more breath here just for you. Inhale in anything positive you want for the week. Any affirmation you know about yourself to be true. Exhale out something you don't need. Very gently start to invite some movement back into your body, maybe rolling through wrists and ankles. Now, option to stay in your Shavasana for as long as you'd like, if that's where you need to be, or you can gently rock over to one side, very slowly coming up into a seated position. Eyes are still closed. Hands come to heart center. From that place of life inside of you, let that vibration exit out through that audible channel in whatever way it wants to. We are just simply a witness to this sound's vibration. We aren't making it, we're just channeling it. One final Om. Exhale. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for joining. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Have a wonderful evening and an even better week. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Chris, Emily, Maureen, thank you so much for being here. Love to you all. I'm going to end our stream. If you have any comments, questions, anything, leave it in the chat or go ahead and unmute. Otherwise, hope to see you again next week. Namaste. Thank you, thank you. Have a great evening.
See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.